Well, it's officially getting towards autumn. Past Labor Day, September 6th, I think, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I got my tea, and also got a new camera to try out too. So stick around, and I'm going to show you a job that seems really daunting, but is actually a lot easier than you think. Camera's over here. Alright, so this is the job we're doing today. My truck has 122,000 miles, and there's no record of a transmission service. And for those of you who know, a 4th gen Ram, like mine, uses a German ZF8HP70, which is down there. And to do this job, the original pan is plastic and it has a built-in oil filter. So every time you need to do a transmission service, you have to change the pan because the filter is built into it. Now, the idea is not bad, but the problem I have is it's a 4-wheel drive truck with a plastic transmission pan with no skid plate underneath it. How stupid is that? My Chrysler has the same transmission. That makes sense. That's a pavement pounder. This truck is not. So what I decided to do is get this. And some of you are immediately going to notice that there's a logo missing here. But what this is a clone of a PPE extended sump transmission pan with removable and serviceable gasket. And the best thing is, next time I have to do this service, I take out these 4 Allen bolts and I can buy a filter from PPE and it drops right in. So we're going to use this one first because it came with it. And you're going to need, the internet calls for 8 quarts to refill, but that's an extra plus 2. So I have 10 quarts. I got 1 quart bottle in the house just in case. The only thing you're going to need, oh yeah, and new hardware because mine's old. They're 10 years old and rusty. So we're going to use new stainless hardware. I'm going to do the whole job with 1/4-inch drive ratchets because the only thing I need is a T40 for the pan bolts, an H8 for, I believe, the fill plug, and a hex 10mm for the drain plug. And then I have a 1/4-inch drive torque wrench, and it is set to 88 inch-pounds, which is 10 Newton meters, which is what the torque spec is for this. And because there's no dipstick, I have to pump the fluid into the side of the transmission like a differential. So to do the job right, I got a fluid pump. And I've already got the attachment right here. It's O-ringed, it's got a stopper, that should fit in the hole. This is age and wisdom and experience, basically teaching you the right way to do things. So this should be a relatively easy job because the pan gasket is already, I already fitted it on here. It doesn't need RTV or anything, so because this sits in like it's almost like an O-ring. But you just push this guy down in here like so until it's all the way in. And of course, I have family doing yard work today, so they're going to be super annoying. And I got a set of scrapers just in case if the old gasket fights me a little bit. This camera here I've actually had for almost 2 years now, and I've never used it on the channel. I'm going to give this a go today for a time lapse of me taking the pan apart. So let me get underneath there and I'll show you what we're working with.
A few moments later.
Alright, hello from underneath the truck. So, as you can see, plastic oil pan for the transmission. Whatever. Anyway, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to take my T10, stick it in here, drain as much fluid as I can out. And then we're going to use T40 and take out the 13 bolts that hold this in place. And as you can hear, maybe, this is one of the advantages of having a truck and four-wheel drive and air ride, is I can jack the suspension all the way up and I can just lay underneath here without any jacks or stands or nothing, which is fantastic. So anyway, let me set up that camera and I will start the time lapse of me draining and taking the bolts out. Actually, I'm going to drain it first and then we'll do the time lapse of just me taking the bolts out and dropping the pan. So stick around and I will see you after this is empty.
12 seconds later.
Here you go. How about a little drain pan ASMR? As you can see, I didn't take the whole thing out. I just loosened it so it's dripping around it. It's going to take longer, but it'll make less of a mess. And that ratchet is very well oiled now. I didn't expect this transmission fluid to be the same color as engine oil. That's a bit strange. Anyway, I'll see you after this is all emptied out.
More moments later.
Okay, so this has escalated quickly. There's tools everywhere. And I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you how to get around it, so you don't have to pull out as many tools as I did. I broke all these loose. And what I did was, I took my flat-headed gear wrench here, 84 tooth 3/8 drive, put a T40 socket on it, and then I wiggled it on and bumped the back of the ratchet until it all seated all the way in for each one, and then just broke them loose. All of these were fine. All of these were fine. The ones in the front were fine, or the back. This one's sort of a challenge. This one was a screaming nightmare because Dodge in their infinite stupidity ran these lines right in front of that hole. So what you got to do is you go over here and you take this 10mm nut off and you pull the brace down and then just push the pipes forward ever so slightly to get clearance for that guy. Now, finally, I think I'm gonna try the new camera and give you a time lapse. You're gonna see how sweaty I got on a September day trying to get this out. Now, I got the drain plug completely out. I'm gonna loosen this side first, see if it drains a little bit more because you never get all the fluid out. It's pretty empty, but it's not completely empty. And then I've got an extra piece of cardboard above my head, and I'm gonna slide that over here because when this comes down, it's gonna be a big drippy mess. I'm almost certain of it. I'll see you for the time lapse.
2 very boring minutes later.
All right, not the best angle, but here we go anyway. Right in the eye. Get back here. Right on my new hat. This is why I can't have nice things. I'm gonna meet you back on the phone now.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Come with me and you'll see an endless world of electronic shift solenoids. You know, honestly, this doesn't look all too much different than the 4L60 video I did, but good God, look how many shift solenoids there are. I mean, yeah, 8-speed, holy shit. 7 there. Kick down solenoid. I forgot what the other one's called. But yeah, she's all drained and dripping. And I'm just waiting to pull the, I got the pan down here. And what I'll do is I'll take it to the tailgate and we'll compare the old one to the new one. But yeah, that one bolt right there is a Dodge. You guys were idiots making this cover that. Like, what the hell were you thinking, man? These lines on top of the bolts and a plastic pan on a four-wheel drive with no skid plate? Like, what the? Idiots. You turned a 1 Samuel L. job into a 3 Samuel L. job because I had to find 50 million damn tools before I figured out I could just bend the line slightly. It's really not that big of a deal. I just could have got this done a whole lot quicker if I knew. Anyway, let me let that drip. I'm going to take the pan, this pan here, to the tailgate, and we'll compare the old to the new.
Later.
Alright, so, old pan, new pan. I put the drain plug back in. I think it's that one. You hear it clicking when you first get it out because it's got a crenulated face to it, but it also helps it drain. So if you hear it clicking when you're taking it off, no, you're not stripping it. It's just what it does. But as you can see, this filter is integrated into the pan. There's no taking it off separately. Whereas this one, there's 4 bolts in it, Allen heads, and the whole thing just pops right off. And because the pans are substantially thicker, it holds an additional 2 quarts, which is good for cooling because it's more fluid to heat up. And it comes with a longer neck, so it meets the valve body. So the next thing I'm gonna do is smear my finger into this, and I feel no chunks, which is good. Fluid's still pretty clean. Doesn't even smell burnt. It smells weird though. Like, it's a ZF transmission fluid, so. Oh, this is probably where the stuff, yeah, it gets caught up in here. You can tell. There's 120,000 miles worth of valve body goo. But as you can see, it all got stuck back there. So, the system did its job. That's 120,000 miles. Like, that's 122,000 miles actually. And you can see it's just stuck in the little pleats. It's not the whole thing. Anyway, next thing I'm gonna do is I'll probably take this new fluid here and just kind of smudge it onto here. Just on the inner edge. And bolt this guy in. I'll show you the fill procedure. The thing about that is I get to use that pump. And unfortunately, that pump only holds 3 liters at a time and I can't get the lid off. So I had to take the vent out and fill it with a funnel the old-fashioned way, which is a bit slow, but it works. Anyway, I don't even think you really have to do this part where you get it wet, but it's just an old habit I have. You do the same thing with oil filters and whatnot. So anyway, I'm gonna go wrestle this back in, grab my new hardware, and I'm gonna put the corner bolts in first, work my way down the sides, and when I torque them down, I'm gonna do the hardest one first, just so I can get it out of the way. Anyway, let's see if I can get that in a time lapse too.
More moments later.
Okay, I've decided to defer the time lapse because I got weather coming in and I need to get this done. So what I did was I wrestled the pan in, the back end first, so it clears over here, and then the front end over here underneath the lines. Now, the one thing I'm discovering is not only is this pan very heavy compared to the one I took off, but the grommet and O-ring that fits into the valve body, it is a really tight fit. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the bolts in one at a time, and I'm slowly tightening them from this edge to here to really work the tube back up into the valve body. It's a really tight fit, which kind of makes it understandable, because when I took the other pan out, that's what was holding it in place. After I took all the bolts out, I had to fight the tube out of the valve body. This one's just super tight, almost scary. Like, I can't push up or bump my hand, nothing. So I'm just gonna torque them all in little bit by bit and make absolutely sure you didn't kink or twist your gasket on the way up, because if you do, you're gonna be taking this apart and doing the whole thing over again. So let me get the bolts in, and then I'll show you the fill procedure. This job took a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
Later.
Okay, so you join me at the passenger side rear of the transmission. As you can see, I got all the pan bolts in, and they all got clicked in at 88 inch-pounds or 10 Newton meters for you metric guys. And now that we're back here, I got to loosen this fill plug and just start pumping fluid in like you would a diff service. So that's an 8mm metric hex head. And I'll pull that out. I'll go get my pump, which is down there. Stick the tube in and just start pumping, and just keep pumping until it starts to ooze out. Then you know you're full. Let me go ahead and do that, and we will do the proof in the pudding. Hopefully, without any problems.
12 seconds later.
Okay, before we do proof is in the pudding, I'm gonna do a caveat here. What I read about this process is that dropping the pan, changing the pan and filter, and refilling, you got to bring about 8 quarts. I bought 10. I used an entire bottle here, which is 5, and I used 2 quarts here, so that's 7, right? But there's still a little bit left in that pump, which means I didn't use 8, I used about 6. And the thing is, when you fill it and it starts to drip out, you want to go up to you want to put the plug back in by hand, go in the truck, start it, run it through the gears, drive, neutral, reverse, park, and do it over and over and over. You're going to feel the transmission grab and drive and grab and reverse, but it's also repumping fluid back into the system. I suspect that draining the pan didn't completely drain the torque converter and all that, so maybe it didn't take a full 8. But this is a plus 2 quart pan, which has got me a little concerned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take what I drained out and fill that bottle over there, the empty one, and see if it took, how much it took. Because if it didn't drain but 5 quarts, and I just put 7 in, then that makes sense, the plus 2. Otherwise, why am I full already? I burped it twice, started it, put it through the gears a few times, shut it off, came back, took the drain plug out, put the tube back in, pumped more fluid in, about 1 quart. So it took some, but the second time it filled up real fast. Like it came back out within seconds. So I thought, okay, I'm pretty full. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna dump that in there, and then if all goes well, I'll proof in the pudding with you just to show you that it works. We'll do the outro, and I'll tell you, maybe it's not a full 8. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, proof in the pudding time. So you saw in that still shot, only 4 quarts drained out. So I didn't have to put in the whole 8. But 6.5 went in, so that definitely makes up for the plus 2 of that pan, which was great because CarPlay decided to interrupt that segment just now. Anyway, let's see what happens. I put it in reverse and I have reverse. Put it in drive and I have drive. Shocker. So now what I need to do is back my truck up a bit because all my tools are stuck underneath the truck and I'm tired and I don't want to lay down anymore. That should be far enough. Anyway, let's talk about Samuel L's. So this job I really thought was going to be like a 2 Samuel L job, because I have a ton of tools and I thought I had everything I needed, and it turns out I did, but I had to just go back and forth to keep finding them. The one bolt that had been stuck above those 2 tranny lines, kind of annoying, but the workaround was easy enough. The filter neck and O-ring being as tight as it was into the valve body made me a bit nervous, but then I realized, hey, the other one was pretty hard to get out pulling it out, so it's just the nature of the beast. That said, from start to finish, if you have all the tools, and you follow this video without the interruptions where I had to stop and figure stuff out, it is still just a 2 Samuel L job. If you don't have all the tools, then it's a 3 Samuel L job, but I wouldn't say it's any more than that. It's actually not that bad. Transmission services are actually pretty easy on a ZF transmission because everything's right there. I mean, yeah, you could have stuck a dipstick in there and I could have just ran it at idle and stuck a thing down the tube, but you know, whatever, German things, right? But it really wasn't that bad. What do I think about the pan quality being a copy of the PPE? I took all the measurements because a friend of mine does have a PPE and they were identical. Height, thickness, rib diameter, all of it is all the same. The only difference was this one cost about 3/5 as much as the PPE kit. However, it didn't come with the bolts. So what I ended up doing was getting a transmission kit for the Chrysler over there with the stock plastic pan and filter, and it came with the bolts, which I used in this truck because the ones in the Chrysler look practically brand new, so I'm not worried about it. Anyway, this was Pwnery Tinkers 4th Gen Ram 8HP70 transmission service. This probably still applies to the 5th gens. This probably still applies to the 8HP75s, which is the upgraded transmission. Takes a little bit more input torque than this one, but I mean, even with my SFT tune, this thing takes everything I throw at it and thanks me for it. And I don't really abuse it because this doesn't win races or anything. Anyway, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a regular here, welcome back. Either way, check out my other playlist and see if my other interests may be of interest to you. I will leave all the listing links for the parts I used, including the transmission fluid, the filter pump, or fluid pump, which is a bit slow, but oddly enough, the YouTube short I created, right after I recorded that, it was full. So maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought, but I might still invest in an electric one. Anyway, I'll leave the tools that I used and, well, as many as I can remember, and the filter kit, the fluid, and the link to the, let's just call it the aftermarket PPE, or the bootleg PPE. And if you want to try it, there's the how-to. So anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Not as bad as I thought, but I'm glad I did it because I got 122,000 miles. So it was time. Anyway, later.
Well, the boy does have good hands.
Good head. Bad taste in cars.
Mother